My name's David. I am pastor of Ekklesia, and we are here to talk today about Ekklesia. What is that? Well, it's a Greek word. If you use the interlinear text, or if you look in a Strong's Concordance in the New Testament, in Matthew 16:18, and over 100 other times in the New Testament of the Bible, the word Ekklesia is used. It's translated as church, probably 115 or so times in most of our Bibles. And the problem with that is the word never meant church. Church is an entirely different word, even in the Greek. The word church refers to a building. Every on-fire Christian knows that Jesus wasn't talking about a building in Matthew 16:18 when he said to Peter, "On this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it." No, Jesus was not talking about a physical church building. He was talking about the people of God. And if you've done a little research, you probably know that the word ekklesia is a compound Greek word, and it actually means called out ones, as in the people who have been called out by God from this world. And that makes sense because we know Jesus said, "Be in the world, but not of the world." As we look at this verse in the interlinear, we see that church is actually pronounced in the Greek ekklesian, and that N is because of the conjugation and the sentence structure. But an ecclesia is an assembly. It's a religious congregation. And when you look at the breakdown of the word, ek is out from and to, and kaleo is to call. People who have been called out from and to something, out of the world and to God. Have you ever noticed that a word is more than the sum of its parts? A compound word, in particular, like butterfly. If somebody was looking back on the use of the word butterfly in English 1,000 years from now, or a couple thousand years from now, if you took butter and fly and put them together, it's not going to give you an accurate definition or understanding of the word butterfly. Even words like microwave, very small wave. If you didn't understand English and you were using a concordance the way we do to read the Bible that was written thousands of years ago, you might not understand what that word meant. But Jesus knew full well what that word meant, and his disciples did as well. If you go back to Greece, which is the logical place to go because this was a Greek word, Ekklesia referred to a political assembly of citizens. Especially, it was the meeting of the Athenian citizens for conducting public business and for considering affairs proposed by the council. So roughly 600 years before Jesus came in Greece, an ecclesia was a part of the Greek government, and it was this assembly, this ecclesia, that was responsible for declaring war, military strategy, and electing the officials. Some of you might be thinking, what does this have to do with Jesus and the Bible that took place in Israel, which is not in Greece? And that's a fabulous question. The ecclesia of the Greek government was so effective that the Romans adopted it. And so even though it was a Greek word, it was used by the Roman Empire, which was occupying Jerusalem and all of Israel during the time of Jesus, 2,000 years ago. Jesus and his disciples, to whom he was speaking in Matthew 16, knew full well what an ecclesia was. They knew full well what the ecclesia did. In Ed Silvoso's book, Ekklesia, we see the true meaning of that word, even within Scripture in the book of Acts. The ecclesia came to mean an assembly of citizens duly convened. It was people. It referred to anyone age of 18 or older in their city-state who had done 2 years of military service to show that they were fully invested in being a contributing citizen, even willing to risk their own life to further and protect their territory. The general public in Jesus' day understood ecclesia to mean both the secular institution and the governmental system it represented. In Acts, when Gaius and Aristarchus were dragged to the theater in Ephesus, the word that is translated assembly in Acts 19 is the same word ekklesia that's elsewhere in Scripture translated as church. But here in Acts 19, ekklesia refers to the crowd twice, and a third time to the court itself that is trying them, which shows that in the Bible, that word ekklesia had a different meaning than just church. So when we're talking about ecclesia, it's more than just the compound word that means called out ones. Depending on the context, it could have a wide range of meanings. Jesus is teaching us here. He's wanting us to see something. We are called to a purpose. We are called to be part of the ecclesia, which ideally are mature people who are citizens, who have a vested interest, who are willing to defend their position, but also to advance their position. In Matthew 16:18, Jesus said the gates of hell would not prevail against the advancement of the ecclesia. Well, gates are defensive. We, as the people of God, are supposed to be advancing the kingdom of heaven, and the primary means by which we do that is through maturity, spiritual maturity. And we at Estero Ekklesia are committed to helping all believers grow in their walk with Jesus, to become more like him, to become mature and complete as he designed us to be, as he is beckoning us to be, so that we will no longer be tossed to and fro by every doctrine of man. Check out Ed Silvoso's book. Dean Briggs also has a book called Ecclesia Rising that's excellent. If you dig into this topic, there are all kinds of great scholarly works. You don't have to take my word for it. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and thank you so much for joining us, for being part of this mission. God bless you.